a little too much throughout this entire weekend. Got to make sure everything is in tip-top shape for these players' decks. But wow. All right, let's talk about this matchup, Pablo. Now, Raging Bolt has the ability to take one-hit knockouts on Dragapult DX. Now, this is the list where Julio is playing one rare candy, so does have the potential to be able to get a fast Dragapult out, but usually you might see that for a Dusknoir. Now, one card that I think could play pretty big is that Pokemon League Headquarters.
Yeah, Pokemon League Headquarters, adding a one colorless cost to attacks from basic Pokemon could definitely come in handy to stop that Raging Bolt DX from knocking you out. Usually the spread of the energy is one energy left on the Raging Bolt, so you force him to have an extra energy, not just Professor Sada, and be ready to go. So that could be crucial, especially when combined with something like Unfirst Stamp, making it hard for Christian to find one of his 3 stadium cards.
Now, again, Christian is able to find those stadium cards through a card like Noctowl with that Dual Seeker ability. You just have to see if it's going to be available to him at the times, because it could be in combination with a Fan Dive, taking out with Hawlucha, or even just a Dusclops, Dusknoir, being able to spread some damage around. Take a look at those prize cards, though. 2 Night Stretcher, Unfair Stamp, and the 1 rare candy for Julio. Meanwhile, nothing too bad for Christian. Couple Pokemon, couple energy.
Yeah, the Noctowl at the very top in the later stages of the game could be something that Christian definitely misses, but the more impactful cards are for sure over on Julio's side. 2 Night Stretcher out of 2 played, so no Pokemon recovery, 1 Dracloak, the rare candy, and the Unfair Stamp. So, I mean, the way you beat Raging Bolt is by making them chill with the pressure, having them whiff a turn, and that happens through disruption, and not having access to Unfair Stamp is a really big deal.
And usually you want to see something like an Pollen paired with that Unfair Stamp, bringing out something like the Noctowl that would be harder to retreat. But here we go, Pablo. Starting off our Masters top 4, Christian up against Julio. Raging Bolt versus Dragapult. We got a Mew EX in the active, Ultra Ball, discarding Boss's Orders, and a Noctowl. That could be big. Again, that Noctowl in the prize cards. There is the 2 Night Stretcher in the list for Christian, so we'll be at least able to find Noctowl that way if possible, but it does put those kind of on a premium.
Yeah, I mean, the other Noctowl, the one Noctowl left is also in the hand. I think Christian's hand was so good, except he needed that Fan Rotom, and that's why the discard of his Ultra Ball is actually quite costly. The single copy of Boss's Orders has now been discarded. That means we only have Prime Catcher as a way to cost until we recover the Boss's Orders with a potential Palbat. We don't have energy attachments in the hand, so we won't be able to set up that Raging Bolt with a Thunderburst Storm attack to threaten any Dreepies next turn. Probably okay taking down the body first and then following that up onto Dracloaks. But, I mean, Christian's hand is pretty good, but could have been a little better if that Ultra Ball wasn't Nest Ball instead.
Now Christian's just taking a look, price check the energies already. Now we're going to do the supporters, make sure those Professor Sada Vitalities are available for the future turns. As the 4 of in the deck, you have that 1 of Judge supporter to try and disrupt maybe later on in the game. And there is that Fan Rotom. Thanks to Ultra Ball, we'll be able to Fan Call, grab 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less from the deck. Going to be most likely 2 Hoot.
Yep, 2 Hoot, an extra Fan Rotom as a potential discard, right? We could use the Ditto, but the Pokemon we want to go into is the Raging Bolt, which Christian already has in hand. So you just keep it in hand so we don't draw it, we don't top pick it. But unfortunately, I think this is the one situation where we're probably not going to end up using it.
And again, it is so important for these players to make sure they know what cards are available to them. And that's why taking notes is so important as well.
Yeah, you could commit the Ditto into Laya's EX, that guarantees you have retreat, but then that means you have to bench your Terra, right? You have to bench your Terra in order to open up your bench space. And yeah, I think Christian realizes, that's a few too many Pokemon I need, and then you're forcing yourself to need Terra Zero to be able to bench the Raging Bolt. So I think keeping it in hand is the way to go. Now you have space for the Terra Ogerpon, and you have the Baby Bolt, which is already in hand.
Now, do you bench both of them right now already? I think you have to.
Yeah.
Just set up for the following turn. Now, Julio could disrupt a little bit with an Iono. It's not going to be the supporter you want to play on turn 1, but putting that Noctowl to the bottom of the deck, the 1 in the prize cards, the 1 in the discard. But looking at the hand, the only supporter is that Jock.
Yeah, not a lot of help here for Julio. No energy attachment for turn. We will be able to get a few things. We can delay item cards with that Itchy Pollen, but there's nothing stopping that Raging Bolt from being active next turn and starting to take prizes. Just going to have enough energy in order to take down the body, right? Can't go after a Dreepy, but if there's no energy played during this turn for Julio, Christian will not mind not being able to take down a Dreepy.
And now Julio's list for this Dragapult is pretty interesting because it's essentially a hybrid between both of the popular Dragapult lists. You know, in our meta breakdown, we combine Dragapult, Badoo, or the Dragapult with the Dusknoir and the Slowpoke. But I think Julio's just taking that and saying, all right, well, I'm going to combine them in my actual list, playing the Dusknoir line, playing the Monkey Dory. You also have that Hawlucha, and having access to just these tech cards could be very beneficial for Julio in this game and has been beneficial throughout this entire weekend.
Yeah, like the one key piece that Julio isn't running is the Genesect, right? But he figured, okay, Dusknoir with Dragapult's pretty good, and you know what? Monkey Dory with Dragapult is also pretty good, so why not have them both? And you definitely have the energies to do so. Those luminous energies come in clutch. You have the Blood Moon Saluna, which we have seen a bunch of, and how clutch it is to help alleviate and some of the pressure from decks and have an immediate response, especially in the later stages against those big basic Pokemon, which coincidentally Christian is playing. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Blood Moon Saluna in this match as well.
It does do 240 damage, and a Raging Bolt EX coincidentally has 240 HP. Now we do see a second Badoo on the bench. I think that's just kind of saying, yeah, this first one's going to get knocked out anyway by this Raging Bolt. Might as well have it as a free retreat option and potentially another Itchy Pollen.
Now we see the Crispin. We're going to get those 2 energies onto Raging Bolt. Make sure we can Thunderburst Storm this turn, take the first prize card, and that's what this deck does, right? Just be aggressive and be like, okay, are you going to stabilize and set up? And if you don't, then I'm going to get so far ahead that you won't be able to come back into this game. And this thing can be so aggressive. You can be aggressive with the Fan Rotom, you can be aggressive with the Raging Bolt, you can also be aggressive with the Raging Bolt EX too. And again, Christian having that Crispin in hand doesn't even need to play the Noctowl, so still conserving as many resources as possible. Julio does have double Dracloak in hand, thanks to that Jacques finding the second one last turn. Drew an Arven for the turn, it seems like. Yeah. And you know what would be great to find with this Arven, Jeremy? The Unfair Stamp, but unfortunately that is prize. So not a lot of help here for Julio. I think he's now realizing, he did price check earlier in the previous turn, and he's now realizing fully that that Unfair Stamp is just not available. And if you're not grabbing Unfair Stamp, Arven is honestly not too powerful of a supporter at this point in time.
Honestly, if you're not grabbing Unfair Stamp, that's signaling to Christian that, oh, that card's prized.
Yeah.
And missing it in the price check is rough too, just because it's a pink card. It's very different from all the other cards, and unfortunately it's just not there available to Julio. Grabbing that Countercatcher with the Rescue Board instead. Yep. You could see something like Countercatcher on one of the Fan Rotom or the Hoot and Itchy Pollen just trying to buy a turn. That's what this deck wants to do. and then possibly get an energy attachment on Ultra Cloak, but I don't know if it's available yet. We're going to have to Recon Directive for one.
Yeah, we need some solid Recon Directives here. We do get to keep the Trippy, I think. And then we have the Pokemon League headquarters that could, I mean, it's not going to help right now too much. The one thing Julio knows is that there is a Noctowl in Christian's hand. So we're going to see the Hoot get brought active, but we can evolve into Noctowl, find a Crispin, get that third energy onto Raging Bolt, chase down one of the Extra Cloaks on the bench, and then have the extra energy to be able to retreat. But that will leave Christian with a very awkward hand of not a lot of support. So what second card will Christian grab? That is the question here. All right, there's the answer.
Yeah, Area 0 just trying to bench some more Pokemon and maybe thin out the hand a little bit for that Mew EX and its restart ability. There is that Crispin to the active. Going to be able to retreat energy attached for the turn on that Raging Bolt on the bench. Thunderburst Storm's now dealing 90 damage to anywhere on the board. That means one of the Cloaks are definitely getting knocked out this turn.
Now, the R0 does mean Christian gets to bench the Raging Bolt. If Sensitivity can play down the Bravery Charm or not, just draw one extra card with that restart ability, has to retreat, and now one of those Cloaks is going to go down this turn. That Thunderburst Storm attack, Jeremy, so good.
It's insane, this format right now, especially with how slow a lot of these Stage 2 decks are to get going. And you see Julio drew the Fire Energy 4 turn, something he would have wanted last turn to put more of an aggressive stance on this game, but Recon Directive finds Iono.
I don't know, the energy attachment, yep, needs to be protected with an evolution into the Dragapult. The stadium is going to be pretty good here at this point. It won't stop the Raging Bolt from attacking this turn, but with one stadium down, only two left in the deck, we could see that Pokemon League headquarters perhaps stay around for a little bit, but of course Noctowl can directly search for the counter stadium now. The question is, what would you discard if you're Christian? No, not getting played.
One thing it does stop, though, is Julio's own Itchy Pollen. Having attached before the turn already, that means no item lock, so Julio opting to keep that available to him. Now we do see the Iono. There is a Duskulls, a Buddy Buddy Poffin, another counter catcher, Festivity EX. Could see some more cards drawn here. Gonna thin the deck out, though.
Yep, going to thin the deck before drawing with Philip the Script. I don't know if there was anything too crucial that you wanted from the bottom to justify this now. Because Dragapult is a Terra Pokemon, Julio also benefits from their zero, allowing him to have 6 bench Pokemon, no problem. Yeah, so that's pretty nice to see. Very well identified by Julio that he can further thin his deck by benching extra Pokemon this time around. We're seeing a reshuffle of all these Pokemon to make sure we are fully arranged, and now we get to flip the script.
3 cards, Buddy Buddy Poffin, Artisan. That is a stadium that you can play to bump the Area 0 underdepths and force Christian to discard some Pokemon.
And still keep the Itchy Pollen available, right? Which, yeah, very well pointed. If you had played the League headquarters, we wouldn't be using Itchy Pollen this turn. But seems like we're going to be conservative with our resources, and now it's on Christian to make something happen. He can continue to apply pressure, has all these Pokemon as targets. We're going to go after a Drippy, and not much else, just benching a Latias.
And Julio only having access to one more Cloak, did not find it on the last turn. Now needs to find a Psychic Energy or one of those 3 Luminous Energy to be able to attack with this Dragapult. Otherwise, this Raging Bolt is going to take 4 prizes, which is even crazier than we've seen Christian do in the past.
Yeah, being ahead 4 prizes makes you very susceptible to Iono or Disruption, but puts you at such a big advantage to where you're probably okay with that now. Phantom Dive against the Raging Bolt with an Iono combined this turn would put a lot of pressure on Christian to find a Professor Sada or a Professor Sada and nothing else, but seems like Julio is trying to be the aggressor here, so that Mew EX is probably going down this turn, as long as the energy's found.
Yeah, as long as you find the energy, that's step 1. And here we're going to see an Iono is going to put Christian down to 3 cards. Still has that Festivity EX on the bench, though, so even with a knockout, Christian's going to be able to refill.
Now, if we are able to find that Pokemon League headquarters this turn, that would effectively protect the Dragapult from getting knocked out by Raging Bolt, because there is no way to get 3 energies onto Raging Bolt EX this turn. So big flip the script here. There's the energy, but no stadium found.
Yeah, already had the Psychic in the hand from the Iono, really just trying to find that Pokemon League headquarters. There is the Luminous Energy going on the Dragapult EX. I think an Ultra Ball. Could we see Ultra Ball? No, there's a Hulucha in hand, too. So you can play the Hulucha Flying Entry, put 10 damage on the Hoot and that Festivity EX, and set up those Pokemon to get knocked out Hoot this turn, Festivity EX at a later turn.
Yeah, that would be a pretty nice option. Would also tie up the price rates, but more importantly, deny a follow-up knockdown, right? Making it a lot more difficult to attack and KO the Dragapult next turn with a Bellowing Thunder from Raging Bolt EX.
We're actually going to see 2 energy discarded with this Ultra Ball. That is a little bit rough, especially with both of those Night Stretchers in the prize cards.
Yeah, I think Julio's really going all in and hoping this Dragapult will survive this turn, denying the Mew, denying the Hoot does deny a lot of recovery off of that Iono, but that flip the script ability, Jeremy, is just too good sometimes.
There is that Flying Entry, 10 damage on the Hoot and 10 going. Could also go on the Latias EX, that will put it in range, but no, we're going to put it on the Fanrotom.
All right.
Another easy prize later on.
Yeah, I like it. Now we're going to see the retreat, and now Christian's hand is 2 grass and an energy retrieval, Jeremy, so not a lot of help right there, and now Noctowl is not a good card to find. So see the Teal Dance to start off.
Professor Sada's Vitality off the top, which is great.
Yep, that's what you need.
One thing that was a little bit questionable too is Julio forgot to Recon Directive last turn. It could have dug a little bit further for that card.
All right. Is there a Sada in hand?
Yeah, he drew the Sada off the Teal Dance.
So I know there's a fighting energy in the discard pile right now. I don't think there's access to a lightning energy just yet. So Raging Bolt actually cannot attack this turn quite yet.
Honestly, I think you'd be fine just using that Raging Bolt to take a knockout on the bench to Cloak. Here we do see a Nest Ball find another Teal Mask Ogerpon. There's multiple grass energy in hand, so Teal Dance will spin the wheel yet again.
So I really like taking down the Dragapult because then you deny any Dusknoir shenanigans, right? If you are at 1 price card, your opponent cannot use Curse Blast, otherwise they would immediately lose the game. Now the next card for Christian was Earthen Vessel. He hadn't played the Nest Ball, which is pretty clutch. Now we see a big Festivity EX here. Can we find a Lightning Energy to take down the Dragapult? I don't think we did.
There's another Teal Mask though, and 1 more bench spot open. Could we rely on this last Teal Dance?
Gosh, I think we have to. Otherwise, it could just be Curse Blast, the Raging Bolt. There is a Bravery Charm, but if you have Dusknoir, you Curse Blast the Raging Bolt, or you Bravery Charm, protect the Fanrotom. Now it can no longer be KO'd with a Phantom Dive extra damage.
And again, this is the route for Christian just because there's no Lightning Energy in the discard for that energy retrieval in the hand. And here we're actually going to see the Raging Bolt take the knockout on the Dusclops, so preventing a Curse Blast option from Julio on the following turn.
I don't think there's any way for Julio to win this. Actually, there is. If you go Rare Candy Dusknoir and then use Blood Moon to take down any of these Pokemon, that could work.
That is true. Did find Rare Candy off of the prize cards. Here's a big flip the script. Boss's orders, Dusclops, Iono.
We need the Dusknoir, though, in order to win this turn.
With the Dusclops, do it. It covers the Bravery Charm math. If you,
but then there's nothing in range of 200 damage. Yeah, that 1 damage counter on the Fanrotom, which was very well planned. If it had been on any other Pokemon, that could have made the. I mean, then do Bravery Charm that Pokemon, then, right?
We found the Ultra Ball of the Recon Directive. Ultra Ball is going to be able to grab Dusknoir. We might see that Rare Candy Dustnor play.
But then we also need Counter Catcher or Boss's Orders and the Blood Moon. Do we have all the pieces? I can't tell from the hand, Jeremy.
There is the Boss's Orders in the hand. Blood Moon's in the deck, already eyeing it down.
I think we have it. I think Julio knows he has all the pieces. There's a Dustnor, there's a Rare Candy, there's another Ultra Ball, and there's Boss's Orders in hand.
What a turn from Julio here. Double Ultra Ball finds the Dustnor and now grabs that Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Is going to be able to bench it thanks to that Area 0 Underdepths and that Dragapult being a Terra Pokemon.
There's the Boss's Orders onto a Festivity. Dustnor will KO anything and will allow Blood Moon to attack for free, forcing Christian to take a prize card, and Julio goes up 1-0 in this first game.
What a game, Pablo. What great play from Julio. The prizes were detrimental from the start, but just relying on Itchy Fallen for the first couple of turns, staring down to that Raging Bolt and pulling out the victory from the jaws of defeat.
Incredible to see so much pressure being applied by that Raging Bolt with the Thunderburst Storm attack, but it all came down to not finding that lightning energy for Christian. He had been able to take down the Dragapult. Sure, Blood Moon can just knock you right out, but there was no way to win that turn for Julio because he wouldn't be able to use First Blast. It was so crucial to take the prize cards, but unfortunately he was not able to.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay for Game 1. Started off with that Raging Bolt, Thunderburst Storm, take a knockout on Badu, and Julio just trying to get set up, found the double trick cloak, able to Itchy Pollen against Hoot Hoot with the Noctowl evolved, then the Crispin played, and we saw another attack after attack from this Raging Bolt. Thunderburst Storm is raining down on Julio's board, but finally getting that Dragapult EX set up, brings up that Mew EX, takes the 3 prize turn, taking the Hoot Hoot down as well. There we see the Mist Lightning Energy being big, only able to take out that Dusclops and Dustnor and Blood Moon in combination with that Counter Catcher or Boss, taking out the Festivity and the Noctowl on the bench. Who would have thought just take 3 prizes in 2 turns and you can win the game?
Yeah, and I mean, that's a Dustnor difference, right? This is something that we have consistently seen be missing from a lot of the top-performing Dragapult decks, and for good reason, right? Not having the Dustnor opens up a lot of space, but having the Dustnor opens up these really cool plays where Julio attacked once with Phantom Dive, and then won the game the next turn. That's not possible with a regular, slower Dragapult deck that are focusing on Genesect and focusing on being more disruptive instead of so aggressive. And I think that's in part of why we have seen Hardware be so successful. Without Dustnor, the damage counters that Dragapult applies are way less impactful because of all the Monkey Doors being utilized.
I gotta say, Pablo, I am really liking this hybrid list from Julio.
Yep.
And to get an update on the other top 4 match for y'all, Makani, Tran 1, 2, and 0 will make it to the finals for I believe the first time in his Pokemon career. And I think it's all due to the fact that he hasn't been on stream.
Well, not touching it anymore though.
Every time we see Makani on stream, he just does not draw well. But maybe it'll change.
Hopefully, I told you earlier it would change, and if he has a big chance to get that win. But first, we need to find who will be going up against Makani in this Game 2 of Christian against Julio. Christian choosing to go first, starting off with that Fan Rotom. Can't ask for a better start.
Yeah, the Mew EX in the active spot for free retreat yet again.
Yep.
Fan Rotom, but you don't even need 2 Ultra Ball for it, already having it. And look at that, the Ditto is in the deck as well, so you can go ahead and retreat to something else if you want. Grab that Teal Mask if you need that Terra in play. Grab the Raging Bolt, attach an energy to it. Looking like a pretty good start for Christian.
Yep, now gonna go and thoroughly check where the energies are at. How many does he have available? Last game, he did prize 1 Lightning and 1 Fighting. And that Lightning ended up being very, very crucial, right? So there's no energies prize. There's no Fighting or Lightning energy prize this time around. There is a Grass energy prize, along with that Crispin, along with that Palpad, and a Professor Sada. So a lot of energy acceleration not available. But I feel like these new Raging Bolt doesn't rely so much on Sada every single turn, because those Raging Bolts are not going down immediately. It's all about that first Raging Bolt with the Thunderburst Storm attack, applying all the pressure, and then you react to whatever your opponent's doing.
Yeah, most of the time with these lists, Sada's only grabbing 1 energy from the discard, and Crispin does that as well as get you a Grass energy to Teal Dance as well.
Now, do we have an energy to attach this turn to the Raging Bolt so that we can actually Thunderburst Storm on the bench to any Pokemon that has more than 60 HP? Or, because that's the piece we missed on the first game, right? We have to KO a buddy, which is fine, right? Taking a prize is great. But if you can KO a Dreepy instead, that's even better. However, the 60 HP Duskulls are also pretty good targets, but I do see there's an energy available.
Fan Call grabs a 1/1 Noctowl along with that Ditto with that transformative start. We also see Nest Ball in the hand along with that 2 energy, actually.
Yeah, and Sada as well. So pretty strong start. I mean, similar to the first game, except we had to Ultra Ball away valuable resources last time around.
And there is that Raging Bolt with that Thunderburst Storm, thanks to that Ditto. Such a powerful card in these Fan Rotom decks, and it's pretty crazy and great to see it included now.
Yeah, for sure. We saw a little bit of that Ditto in Lost Box decks before rotation, but it never really caught on too much. The space was just so valuable. And now it's definitely making its way into all these Noctowl decks that play Fan Rotom that can just search for the card directly. But we have our Terra, we have our Raging Bolt, we have double Hoot Hoot. We are ready to go, Jeremy.
There's the energy to the active and pass the turn to Julio. See what he can put together here. This hand doesn't look like it can put together much. I think that's a Jacques.
Yep, that's a Jacques. So 2 evolutions, pretty useful. Not so useful if there's only 1 Dreepy in play. Itchy Pollen is good, but it's not good enough to stop a Noctowl from searching for a Crispin and letting your opponent take down the Dreepy. We could be seeing a very quick game 2 here, Jeremy.
It seems that way. And take a look at the prize cards, Pablo. Unfair Stamp prized yet again, this time up at the top, along with that Artisan, which could be a crucial stadium bump in the later turns. The Monkey Dory, Iono, XP share also. Maybe it's fine if this game doesn't go too long, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's fine. It's like, it's been prized 2 out of 3 games. What are the chances that it's prized 3 out of 3 times?
You don't need to jinx it now, Pablo, okay?
I'm not trying to jinx anyone, just asking a question.
Caster's Curse, that's what's going on for you right now.
All right, so Jack will help thin the deck. You know you're up against a deck that probably doesn't shuffle your hand too often. There's only usually 1 copy of Iono or Judge in these hyper-aggressive decks. I mean, a turn 2 Noctowl KO, Raging Bolt KO with Judge against some decks after they use Clef or something can be pretty powerful, but that's not going to be happening here. I don't think we want a Crispin. I don't want to take down our opponent's single Dreepy in play. Now, do you even bother attaching? Because you know your opponent has Noctowl. You know they're going to Crispin. So you're just going to lose the energy anyways.
Listen, Pablo, we're probably just going to lose this game anyways, so might as well just play it. Maybe Christian doesn't search for the Crispin. Who knows? Yeah. Play to your outs, right? And if your outs are your opponent misplaying, I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's what you have to do now. Jewel Seeker, Crispin, the first card. What is the second card? Would you ever consider, like, double Crispin?
Yeah, we saw that with Ian Robb's match.
Yeah.
Finding just double Crispin so you can continue the onslaught. Maybe you can even retreat on the following turn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the one way you end up in a bad situation is if you lose a couple turns, the Noctowl gets stuck in the active right after a counter catch or Itchy Pollen. So double Crispin definitely sounds very appealing. However, Christian already has an energy in hand and has a Latias as well. Will be able to draw an extra card. So this is perfectly fine. With the energy in hand, I think it's perfectly fine to go for that stadium and just, yeah, there's the Dreepy gone with that Thunderburst Storm attack and Sada taking off the prize cards.
Night Stretcher for the Dreepy, attach energy, pass, it seems like. Maybe counter catch to that Noctowl, but we know the energy is in the hand for Christian. I think once the energy comes down, Julio's going to take it to a game 3.
I would imagine so. There's just not a lot of help. Doesn't even bother attaching this time around, conserving that energy. There's the attachment. There's the retreat. There's going to be the knockout on the poor Dreepy after we see the Sada for extra cards, extra resources. Who cares about the item lock, Jeremy? You just take down everything around the body.
Oh, no. I think that's a switch, and there's the scooping it up. Julio having to go to game 3 now, but good news, you get to choose if you want to go first or second.
Yep, Christian pretty happy with this result after a game 1 that looked to be his, right? Runs away with this one in pretty commanding fashion. Now ties up the series 1-1, and we are now heading into a game 3 where, I mean, I think Julio's in a tough spot. Do you choose to go second because your deck prefers to go second, but Raging Bull wants to go first, so do you choose to go first, but then your deck is really awkward going first? So it's a tough decision to make. I think you still choose second.
Yeah, I think you still choose second too, and it's just due to the fact that the deck is built really to go second. You have 2 Arven, you got those Buddy Poffin, and really it's just, I think if Julio had an actual supporter instead of the Shock, then we can actually see a game there. But Christian's start, which we've seen him start pretty much the same every single game he's been on stream, charge up that Raging Bolt, get those knockouts with that Thunderburst Storm, and just continue putting on that pressure with a single prize Pokemon. And he can do that on turn 1 or turn 2.
Yeah, for sure. And if there's a body, if there's a Duskull, even if you don't get the Dreepy KO, you're fine just taking prize after prize after prize, putting on the pressure. And as long as you don't miss out on a big knockout on a Dragapult DX and you deny those Curse Blasts, then all of a sudden you're definitely at a big advantage, right? So it's all about destabilizing Julio as much as possible before he gets to that Dragapult DX with enough support behind it.
we are approaching our game 3 here in our top 4 for the Milwaukee Regional Championships. One of our players here is going to meet Makani Tran in the finals, trying to vie for that world's invite along with $10,000 and a handful of booster packs.
Yeah, a lot to play for in this round. We'll have to see what happens here. Now, I think I see Jack again for Julio in his starting hand for this game 3. He did choose to go second. Now Christian does have the nest ball. So I think we're going to see the exact same thing. Fan Rotom into Ditto, into Hoot Hoot. Already has a Noctowl in hand, so we're probably going to see double Hoot Hoot as he puts them to the very front. And we're going to see the trade of the Ditto into the Raging Bolt. However, the Raging Bolt is prized this time around.
What, Pablo? No! Raging Bolt and Raging Bolt EX in the prize cards for Christian, along with one of those Night Stretcher and a Professor Sada's Vitality. Now, Christian's hand does have that nest ball to be able to find the Fan Rotom. There's also an Ultra Ball to discard some energies and maybe charge up a potential Professor Sada's Vitality on the following turn. Really depends how he chooses to navigate this. You can also maybe attack with the Fan Rotom if you search for that Area 0 Underdepths. Now, looking on Julio's side, there is an Ultra Ball. There's a lot of energies. There's that Jacques, as you said, and a Dragapult EX. This hand needs a lot of help from the top of the deck, Pablo.
Yeah, we need a lot of help, as you mentioned, Jeremy. I mean, we could Ultra Ball for Pheasant DPT, assuming the body goes down, and then we get 3 extra cards. Artisan being in the prizes along with a Dreepy does not help our case. Night Stretcher also not available, so Julio with yet again another awkward hand. And I know you called Jack not an actual supporter. I mean, it's good at the right moment, right? After you've gotten your full setup. But as your starting supporter, it's never ideal.
Listen, Pablo, all I'm saying is it could be a Brock Scouting, all right?
It could be, yeah. There is no Brock Scouting in Julio's deck, right? So instead of Jax, we had Brock Scouting. Yeah, we'd have the option to go for 2 basics or for 1 evolution. So the trade-off, the versatility could be good enough.
There we do see that Fan Rotom, almost inevitable from Christian's deck, time and time again, finding those 2 Hoot Hoot and Ditto. Now, it's going to be interesting. Do you give up the energy to retreat into the Ditto? You could also maybe Ultra Ball for something like a Latias, but it doesn't seem like a good use of your resources here.
Yeah, I think we go our regular Raging Bolt this time around. Julio will be relieved to not see the baby Raging Bolt come into play immediately, and that's also pretty telling that it is priced, right? There's no reason for Christian not to go for the same play that he has gone in both games, and that has been so effective. So this is a nice break for Julio, although we do go for the Latias instead. So interesting choice. We'll have to see what Christian has in mind with this.
Again, it's just getting that guaranteed free retreat in play. We could also utilize that Noctowl in hand along with already having the Area 0 under that in play, so that Latias guarantees that Fan Rotom able to knock out a Badoo on the following turn. Dusclops drawn off the top for Julio. Not what you want to see.
Gosh, this hand is just so bad for Julio. A single Buddy Puffin, a single Arvin, one of those researches or Ionos would be so good here, but as it stands, this is just really, really bad. And I'm sure Christian's going to have a chuckle at himself after seeing Jack be the first card played for a 3rd game in a row.
Yeah, you can see Julio just shake the head. This is not the supporter I want to play turn 1, but it's what I have to do to thin the deck out, prize check, and see what is available.
Yeah. And we definitely have enough time to finish this game no matter what, right? So no harm, no foul in being thorough with your price checking, making sure that you are aware of what is available to you and what isn't available to you. Although, as things stand, this game is probably not going to go for much longer, honestly. I mean, you have the information that Raging Bolt is probably not available. You have the information that Fan Rotom is going to take down the Buddy. So do you Ultra Ball for Pheasantipity? Is that the way to go here, Jeremy?
Honestly, maybe, because if you Ultra Ball for a Dreepy, attach an energy to it, you're probably going to be discarding at least one energy, potentially two, and you already have one energy in the prizes along with the Night Stretcher.
Yeah, and Noctowl can just grab the boss, take down the Dreepy anyways, right?
Exactly.
So you're not even safe with the Dreepy. So I think it has to be Pheasantipity here. And then if your opponent doesn't KO the Pheasantipity, then that's fine. They can't go boss and Sada to KO it. And that means, like, with Pheasantipity, you're guaranteeing yourself an extra turn. And there we go, putting the Pheasantipity at the front. This is Julio's best chance at surviving and being able to play this game at all.
I think Julio is reading your mind, Pablo, being able to channel the best play possible for this super awkward hand. Flip the script is such a powerful ability in this format, and Julio's going to have to rely on it to find a couple buddy Poffin, maybe a counter catcher, who knows.
And this works because of Ichipollen, right? Ichipollen denies that Prime Catcher, so Christian can't just switch gears, power up, Raging Bolt, Prime Catcher, KO the Pheasantipity. So we are going to see that Ichipollen. That 10 damage on the light is also pretty relevant as well, puts it in range of Phantom Dive. And now it's on Christian to make something happen. But he knows if he takes a knockout on the Buddy, he will be giving Julio 3 extra cards. So is there ever any world where you choose not to take the KO, try to power up the Raging Bolt? I guess not. We're just going aggressive, taking a big advantage here.
And we're powering up that Pheasantipity EX because guess what? It can actually Cruel Arrow a Dreepy on the bench the following turn with a Crispin. So playing to multiple outs to trying to take down a Dreepy, and Luminous Energy off the top for Julio. Definitely not what he wants to see. You could see it on his face.
He's not amused.
Oh, no, not at all. Just the awkwardness of this hand.
I mean, he already drew with Flip the Script, and he had no help. I think he got Research, but then he researches all his energies away.
Yeah.
And there were Candy, which, oh my goodness.
What a painful
so many energies.
Search.
1, 2, there's 3 energy in the discard. 4 energy in the discard.
Did not even find a Dreepy.
Oh my gosh.
There's just a Duskull.
This is unbelievable, Jeremy. And gets a Night Stretcher to recover what?
A Badu?
Instead of an energy later down the line with the other Night Stretcher prize, and the Fire Energy's prize, does he even have enough energy to do anything?
If you save the Night Stretcher, yes. Oh no, just a passive turn. There is Raging Bolt EX in the hand, along with the Professor Sada's Vitality, Ultra Ball, and the Noctowl. I think we're going to see a pretty crazy turn to knock out that Pheasantipity EX in the active spot.
Oh, for sure. Christian has to absolutely go for it. Has the Latias to conserve all the energies as well. Raging Bolt cannot get stuck in the active. There's absolutely no threat to his Raging Bolt or anything else on the board. And that Pheasantipity is long gone here, Jeremy.
Tried to do its job. Did not do it well. Got fired, you know.
All right. It's going to be Crispin, so we can Crispin to Raging Bolt. With what Julio sees on the board, he might be thinking that it's going to be Crispin to the Pheasantipity to take down this, and he'd be happy with that. But we know Christian, he's going to go for the Pheasantipity. There's no reason not to do that.
Yeah, even if the Raging Bolt EX wasn't in hand, the find of the Nest Ball would help out to grab one anyway. There is the bench of the Raging Bolt EX. Crispin will find Lightning and that Fighting Energy, or no, gonna go for the Grass Energy. I think already has the Fighting Energy in hand.
Oh my gosh, no.
Oh, no.
There was a Lightning Energy in hand, so that could have been a very, very costly mistake by Christian. Always double check which energy you have available and which ones you don't, because that could have been, like, it doesn't put Julio in a good position, but it means Christian just delays the very likely win for another turn, and you don't want to give your opponent any breathing room at all in the top 4 of a regional championship.
And there is a grab of the Mew EX as well. I believe already attached energy for the turn.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Already attached energy. I think Christian is a little too excited here.
Yeah.
He knows he's really favored in this spot, Just need to make sure we are doing things correctly, in the right order, take a breather, and make sure we are doing things correctly.
We'll be able to Bellowing Thunder, keep an energy on the active Raging Bolt EX as well, which is huge.
I mean, there is definitely a debate to keep the energy on the Fezandipity so you can Crispin snipe a potential Dreepy that hits the board next turn. I mean, I don't hate that at all.
Well, here we go. Duskull against the world. Switch is not going to do it.
We have Iono. That's the best we can hope for, really.
Are we going to Night Stretcher for the Fezandipity? Draw some more cards?
And then you have one Psychic left to Jet Headbutt, and that's it?
I mean, there's a world where you Dusclops, Blood Moon or Saluna with an energy, Unfair Stamp.
All right, there's the first Dreepy. There's a Monkey Door. I mean, all the basics decided to show up finally, but is it a little too late, Jeremy?
I think it's a lot too late, Pablo.
I'm trying to be more generous.
Energy for the turn on the Dreepy.
Yep. And Iono, it's gotta be Iono. There we go. So taking away Christian's hand. I don't think he had anything super impactful. The Raging Bolt is now available, the one that can snipe on the bench. Of course, we cannot get 3 energies onto it this upcoming turn. Big 3 cards here for Christian. He could definitely whiff for a turn and be forced to use Burst Roar to recover resources from the hand. I couldn't tell what he drew, though.
Night Stretcher, Slitherwing, and a Grass Energy.
Okay.
But still has some draw with that Teal Mask Ogrepon, Teal Dance, and that restart from the Mew EX. Meanwhile, Julio finally gets the first Buddy Buddy Poffin of this Game 3. He's going to search for what looks like Badoo Dreepy.
Nope, not great, but there's no energy left in the deck, Jeremy. We can only aspire to a Jet Headbutt and Blood Moon. Right, Blood Moon is probably going to have to be Julio's saving grace at this point. There is one Fire Energy prized. The other Night Stretcher is also prized, so we can not Phantom Dive this game until we take at least 3 prize cards because they're in the middle.
Wow. Crispin drawn off the top 4, Christian.
My goodness.
That is going to allow him to search for that Lightning Energy, and even if he doesn't have another energy in the deck, will at least just be an expensive energy search to attack.
Yeah, you don't mind that at all. Now, debating on whether to bench the Slitherwing or not, it is a good target for Professor Sara's Vitality, of course. We are going to see the Crispin. We can attach the Lightning. We can Teal Dance as well. And then we also can attach another energy somewhere down the line as Christian. His thoughts right now are, how do I close this game? How do I win this game from this point? How do I maximize my chances of just making sure I can win this game within the next 2 turns?
Honestly, I think he's thinking, how do I lose this game? I want to make sure that can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely need to account for both of those things.
Slitherwing with a Fighting Energy is pretty good against that Fezandipity EX as well, so just could be another way to close out the game with something like a Prime Catcher.
Yeah, and that way you don't need Sada anyways, right? So we're going to see the restart. We're going to draw a card.
Another Night Stretcher, but those are great because if this Raging Bolt EX somehow goes down to something like a Blood Moon or Saluna, you still can grab and Fighting Energy from the discard.
Seems like he's eyeing up a Lightning or a Fighting. Goes for the Lightning, interestingly enough. And it's just going to take the knockout. So that Night Stretcher was a way to protect from the item lock, right? That way you don't need Professor Sada to be able to attack next turn. You just need to find the energy through Crispin, or it's already in your hand and you're ready to go. So being extra careful, as you mentioned, not only thinking about how to close out this game, but also how he could possibly lose. And you'd lose if you miss too many turns.
Taking a look at the hand for Julio, has an Arven.
Yeah, on first stamps time.
Finally.
Finally, there we go. It does hit the field immediately. We're going to see it get played pretty soon, I'm guessing. We also thin the rescue board, but no Fire Energy available. We can only aspire to Jet Headbutt this Raging Bolt, and that's a 4-hit KO.
Now, all 3 Luminous are in the discard.
All 3 Luminous are in the discard. The fire is also in the discard, and the other fire is prized. I am 99% sure of that.
Now, Julio did have access to Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, cards that potentially he could have thinned out of his hand just to try to draw something else here. But opted just to shuffle him back into the deck with the Unfair Stamp.
Yep. Now Christian, one Ghost Effect and Fighting Energy away from winning this game, knocking out that Festivity with Slitherwing or a Lightning Energy away as well. So, does he have the boss available? I think he does. He also has a Prime Catcher available, I believe. So, plenty of options here. 2 cards for Christian. I could not tell what they are.
Keeping it close to the chest. Festivity draws Pokemon League headquarters.
Okay, that could give us a little bit of hope.
That makes Blood Moon take an additional energy to attack.
Yeah, true. That would not be ideal. I mean, there's no energy left, so who cares how many he takes? It would matter in the last turn, right? If Christian goes down to 1 prize card.
And take a look at those prize cards.
There we go.
Fire energy.
Did Julio not realize yet that he didn't have the fire energy at all? I mean, this just gives your opponent the information now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're telling your opponent, I missed. I failed the Earthen Vessel. So unless the energy is already in the hand, it's not available. And yeah, we're going to see Christian double check the energy in the discard pile for us. I see a fire, I see a psychic. I see 1, 2, 3 Luminous. There is no energy available left.
Here is the second Recon Directive. First one found a counter catcher. The second one finds a boss's orders. Are either of these cards good right now?
I mean, prevents the Burst Roar in case Christian has a slow hand, but 10 damage from body is just not enough. You could counter catcher. Did we evolve this turn to Dragapult? I think we did, so we need to wait a turn. Yep, we're going to just see the H Pollen. Next turn we can go counter catcher. Jet Headbutt KO the Hood maybe. We just see a boss, a judge though.
Right, this is crazy for Christian. Has had everything this game. Julio has been struggling to get set up. Had to discard all of his resources with that Professor's Research just to get a Dreepy into play.
Yeah. And didn't even get one, right?
Yeah.
Now, it all comes down. Can we get Fighting Energy and Prime Catcher here? A Noctowl gets us there.
Yeah, Noctowl gets us there.
Ultra
Lightning
Ball.
and the Prime Catcher. There's Grass Energy. Noctowl.
There's Noctowl. Is the Prime Catcher available?
It should be. It's in the deck.
Well, we just attached for turn, so I guess we're not going. Oh, I guess we can't recover the energy, right? We don't have an energy available. All right. By taking this knockout, now Blood Moon is live. Blood Moon is away. Julio can attack this turn for a significant amount of damage, not just 70 off the Jet Head. But the Team League headquarters goes against the Blood Moon, so we need to be very careful in case Julio plays that card down. Right now, Blood Moon attacks for 0 energy, but the League headquarters would make it 1. But he's not going to make that mistake. He's just going to Iono, put Christian down to 1 card. Julio needs to find a counter catcher here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think Christian had game last turn. Noctowl had access to the Prime Catcher.
Item luck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called item luck. We cannot Prime Catcher. We cannot Night Stretcher for the right energy either. But they might have a game next turn. It's 1 card, but then we also have Mew, and we also have Festivity for a lot of extra cards.
And that's saying even if Julio has the counter catcher, does not in the hand, has used, I believe, Flip the Script and 1 Recon Directive.
I think it might have been both already, even though that Draco looks tilted, but not tilted. I mean, you don't want to use Blood Moon to knock out Fan Rotom and then just give your opponent so many extra cards off of these 2 guys, right? So we'll have to see what happens here. What does Julio decide? Does he decide to be aggressive? Does he take a chill turn, which without Itchy Pollen, that's going to be a little less impactful overall, right? In terms of denying Christian, he still gets this 1 card, 1 off the top, and then another 1 potentially from restart. And it's, once again, you find Noctowl or Ultra Ball, and you win the game on the spot.
It might be a Jet Headbutt play. Is there even a Dragapult left in the deck? Does not look like it. One was discarded with the Professor's Research, one in the prize cards.
Oh my god, a nice Treasure is also prize, so we can't even get to Dragapult. Blood Moon has to carry the game, and if you knock out, with Blood Moon, if you knock out the Raging Bolt, you still have this Slither Ring. If you knock out the Slither Ring, you still have the Raging Bolt. It's just a bad situation all around.
Lightning Energy was the one card for Christian. Has the free retreat with the Latios EX.
Yep.
There's the Bellowing Thunder knocking out that Pheasantipity EX. And just like that, Christian Labella moving on to the finals here with Raging Bolt EX.
What a performance by Christian. What a performance by Raging Bolt. It's no longer the meme deck.